this is a mobility harness that was designed by Eva. And the way she came up with it was first to understand, the Collie anatomy, but also we got a lot of letters and pictures from people with dogs that they were trying to train to help them with balance and mobility, and they were chafed, they were bleeding. It was terrible to see. People would have a cape on a dog with a block of wood in the middle of the back and a barn door handle on the top. And it was rubbing, and it was really awful. So she started to dream, she said, about the solution, what would it look like, and how would it fit. And so, because she was a visual person, she got this little trophy out of the trophy cabinet that came from one of the California match events that we went to early. And she started cutting cardboard, little pieces of cardboard like this, and fitting it on the dog. And this one was one that she did that was designed as a backpack to carry school books for a little girl. But this was the beginning of it, and so she actually had a sculpture in front of her when she was thinking about this. But this obviously wouldn't work. So she said, dreaming about it. And one morning she woke up and she said, I got it. I've got the solution. I have the answer. And she started sketching because she was an artist, painter, and so she could amazingly, with a pencil in hand, and I know it was two-dimensional, it was flat paper, but things would just jump out of the paper when she would sketch. And she sketched the harness design. And in her first evolution of the harness design, it was all leather. And all the strapping was leather. But it was heavy and it was cumbersome. And she wanted the dogs to be comfortable. So the next evolution of it was webbing like this. And there was still leather for the handle, which was still heavy and difficult to work with. And the rivets would vibrate and loosen. And because some people were very heavy with their hand and their weight on the harness. So that wasn't successful. But over time and with experience, the harness design kept evolving. And we now use, this is lightweight aircraft metal that I have punched out by sheet metal experts. They computerized the work so everything is lined up.
And it is light.
It is.
You look at it and you think, that's going to be really heavy, and you pick it up and you go, oh, wow.
It is light, and it's very, very secure because there are three parts. There's a U-shaped handle. There's the long handle that goes over the dog's shoulder all the way down to the point of the shoulder. And in this part, this one is just clipped together because it's in the process of assembly. But in here you can see that this metal is connected to a metal plate that protects the dog's spine and back to about this point. So, there's also a very dense foam pad, so if the person pulls back on the harness, the dog's back is protected. They never feel any metal.
Right, and it's soft. I mean,
Yes.
you can feel the padding in there, and I mean, when I go to squeeze it, it's hard to squeeze it, so it's a substantial piece of material.
It's very dense, yeah. And in the lightness of it is very important to us. All the strapping is padded, pretty profusely so it's comfortable for the dog. And now the handle, we went from this faux fur to leather because it feels softer. And this, when it's assembled, you don't see any metal. It's all covered with this kind of webbing, except for the handle. So it's a very successful design now, and they last until the dogs are ready for retirement. I Actually, I'm making a second one for Jeeves. He was a big dog, and I have to give credit to my friend Charlene Buckland, who is the seamstress that does this beautiful
This
stitching.
is remarkable.
I'm dyslexic, so what we were saying before, there are many ways that other friends help me and make my work possible, and Charlene is certainly one of them, because she is masterful at putting together the stitching. She brings it back to me this way, and I add the metal parts. So I know the metal part. Where it's very tactile, I could do it, but I dropped out of sewing class in high school, junior high school. I guess it was elementary school. No, I got the material cut, and I could not figure out how to assemble it.
There you go.
It was so backwards, inside out.
Absolutely.
It was too much. So I'm very good, I have to say, at delegating and finding helpers that really excel at what their part is.
Everybody has their part.
Yes, and I couldn't do it alone. So I'm very grateful for everybody that has a part in this, And Charlene's part is the harness webbing, assembling it, beautiful stitching that she does, and fitting. We do 2 or 3 fittings for each dog to make sure the handle height is set for the partner of that dog, and the size. A few things are standard, but we make sure that the girth straps are comfortable. That every dog is really comfortable and they love their harness, and very grateful for that. Her husband, Denny, he does these ID cards for me that are very professional. I just did like a spring cleaning of the office, and I found ID cards from past partners, past mobility dogs, and I found one from like 1968 or something like that. Well, it couldn't be 60. It must have been 78. 1978. Yes, from Kings Valley Back to the Future. That one of Mom Smooth's, and it's so funny looking back at our first ID cards compared to what they look like
now.
Yeah, what they look like now. Yeah. So and these are the colors. I stick with the same colors because I really want the dogs identifiable,
absolutely,
like guide dogs. So we don't play with the color scheme. Right. And they on the top. It's not here right now, but there is a bag that straps to the harness with these loops. So dogs actually can help carry a lot of your items, except the cell phone. Cell phones that vibrate, that kind of surprises stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is the harness, and it's really comfortable for the person and the dog.
It really is. It's really a piece of art. I mean,
it is
a nice.
Well, an artist designed it.
Absolutely. There you go.